screen-free time is worth it? The science says yes, but how do we go about it practically as parents? In today's video, I'm showing how we have done it with 4 tiny humans, so stay tuned, give this video a big thumbs up, don't forget to hit subscribe and tap that bell, and let's get into it. Screens are everywhere, but science shows that it can have a negative impact on our kids' development. As a mom of 4 and a primary school teacher, I'm going to share the science on why we became screen-free and practical ways that we have been able to successfully do this for half a year now. As an Aussie mom, I'm going to be sharing the Australian statistics and research that back up why we became screen-free, but I'm pretty sure no matter where you are in the world, you are going to have similar research in regards to the recommendation of screen time, the effects that screen time can have on your children. And then obviously my practical tips are just ones from learnt experience, what I would do again and what I would definitely not waste my time doing. According to the Australian Department of Health, kids under the age of 2 should have absolutely no screen time unless it is FaceTiming or video calling friends and family. Now this is so difficult to do in a world that is continually surrounded by screens. For us personally, even before we became screen-free, we kept the rule that no screens before the age of 1, and even that was difficult. So to think no screens for the first 2 years of their life can be very tricky, especially if you have older kids. For 2 to 5-year-olds, they recommend 1 hour of screen-free time a day, and if you are going to do it, they also recommend that it should be educational and or interactive. They're wanting you to make sure that it's not just there for the sake of being on, that what you are putting into their brains because they are little sponges is going to be feeding them, whether that be through social skills or academics or just something that you can discuss afterwards. I know for us in our family, we love Number Blocks, Alpha Blocks, Daniel Tiger. All of those sorts of programs have a really good underline of social, emotional, educational value, so that's what we have done. We also do VeggieTales because as a Christian household, we want to install in them our Christian morals and beliefs, and that's a fun little way of doing it for them. Now moving on to our primary school kids who are between the ages of 5 and 12, they recommend 2 hours of screen time including schoolwork, which this made me wonder how much screen time our kids do get at school. Even as a primary school teacher, there are a lot of things that we do on the computer because the kids are engaged in it. The older they get, the easier it is to give them independence through screen time as well, whether that be submitting an assignment or doing some research, or maybe they're watching a tutorial on how to do something. Screens are pretty prevalent within the school system. 2 hours a day would probably still only give you maybe an hour at home for recreational needs. That's an interesting thought to keep in mind if you have a child between the ages of 5 and 12. Then with our teens from 13 to 17, they recommend 2 hours of recreational screen time. This doesn't include any of their studies. Obviously, long gone are the days, I feel, where you would go around with textbooks and paper. I feel like most things are digital, PDF, 2 hours of additional screen time. All in all, I can say, reflecting on how much screen time our kids were getting before we became screen-free, they were absolutely getting more than their recommendation for their age groups. Dr. Rhodes from the Royal Children's Hospital down in Melbourne was saying that a lot of screen time can actually lead to sleep problems. Children who are having screen time can have problems with the onset of sleep, and then the quality of their sleep can also be affected. And this is so true because even just reflecting on me personally, if I'm sitting on my phone scrolling before bed, I am going to be awake longer because my brain is activated from looking at the screen. But my quality of sleep that night, I have noticed trends where it's definitely not getting that deep, refreshing sleep. So this is obviously going to transfer down to our little ones in regards to if they're on a screen or watching screen before they go to bed, it is going to impact on them. And I can say before screen-free time, we were the type of family that would have screens at the dinner table because we were just surviving meal times. I know it was affecting our nighttime routine, which was one of the big reasons for us pulling the pin and just doing screen free. It's comforting to know that my mother's intuition was correct because studies have shown that it does affect their sleep. There's also going to be a physical and mental health aspect that's going to be affected by excessive screen time, and I can absolutely see this with my primary school age children. The Australian Psychological Society has done research and put out articles saying that excessive screen time can affect kids in multiple ways. Research has shown that anxiety, depression, self-esteem, and comparison issues can be linked to screen time, and it's really difficult, especially with primary school age kids, because there's peer pressure to be on apps or Facebook Kids Messenger and them interacting on that digital platform. And even though you may have rules and guidelines as a family, it's not going to apply to everyone. And it's so important that your child understands how to be a digital citizen. I know it's something that I have taught in my grade 1 classes about making sure that our children don't give out their full name, their date of birth, where they live, any private information, that the friendships that they are creating online are not actually new friendships. It needs to be friends that they have got at school or from a sporting club or wherever they're interacting, because obviously we don't know who is on the other side of that computer screen, and it's really important for them to have a healthy awareness of the fact that the digital world is very much how that person wants to be perceived, and you can't trust it. So the APS suggests, especially with our younger kids, that we keep them screen-free as much as possible because it helps them to have better emotional and social regulation tools. I know having kids in primary school, so much can happen in the digital world, and it really does affect their school life. And for us as a family, we have done a blanketed no, the kids are not on Facebook Messenger, they're not playing any games outside of school. Their interaction is at school, and if they want to contact someone, then I'm going to have that relationship with their parent and we can do a FaceTime. I'm sure that as they get older into the teens, things are going to change, but we are definitely going to keep a very strong parental presence there. Now, if you're worried that reducing screen time or being screen free is going to put your child behind others, let me give you some reassurance that it won't. Primary schools are really good at making sure that our kids are digital citizens, that they are equipped to handle technologies. Both of my girls do not have access to an iPad or a computer, and yet they are getting really good grades at school in ICT or IT. Just to give you peace of mind that you are not going to do a disservice by not letting them have it. My kids get enough screen time when it comes to their education, and even being at outside school hours care or OSH, they are exposed to enough skills to get them through. And obviously as time goes on, we will continue to implement it slowly with expectations and boundaries to keep them safe. After gathering all of the data, there is clear evidence that screen time definitely shouldn't be used for babysitting, and I am the first to raise my hand to say that I am guilty of doing that. Like I said, dinner time was just screen time for our kids, especially with the toddlers, because at the end of a busy work day, I didn't want to have the strain, chaos, and reluctancy of them eating a meal, that it was easier to put a screen in front of them and for them to mindlessly eat. And the thought of doing dinner without a screen actually gave me anxiety because I didn't know how we were going to do it. And now it is the best thing ever, to the point where we're having those communal family meals where the kids are just digging in and helping themselves to whatever is on the table, and we're discussing our days, and the kids are bonding with each other, and we're really building that sense of family. If you'd asked me 6 months ago if I thought we could do that with 4 kids, the answer would be no. I would have laughed in your face at the thought of being screen-free. Yet it is completely possible, and I'm going to share how we've done it. If you've started your screen-free journey, how is it going, and what difference have you seen in your kids? Comment it down below. Now, my top advice, and this is something that I wish people would chat more about, is it's going to be difficult because being screen-free is like withdrawing someone from an addiction, and especially if you have little ones who are needing a device as their crux, then it is going to be hard, really hard. There were many times, especially with our 2 and 3-year-old at the time, that we thought of just giving up and going back to a screen because life was easier. It wasn't better, but it was definitely easier. And I am so glad that we persevered, because now the quality of everything is just exponentially better. But it is going to be hard, and the best way forward is to rip the band-aid off. The second truth is the fact that you're going to have to model it yourself, and this could be potentially hard. I know that I was a massive mindless scroller, and I had to get into some really good habits to not just pick up the phone whenever I was disengaged with the world around me, that I needed to be active and present. And that is one thing that being screen-free has allowed us as a family, is to make the most of every opportunity, to bond over shared experiences, to get involved in play, to be reliving our childhood, which is amazing, to have a second go at seeing it through their eyes as they're experiencing the world around them for the first time. Practically, this means that we have incorporated a lot more of outdoor play time. We've bought more outdoor equipment. We like to make obstacle courses and play games with them. Imaginary play has heightened because we're using boxes from our kitchen renovation, or when we bought a swing set. You are going to be outside more. We have camper chairs out because we don't really have an outdoor setting. The kids are in such a good, healthy habit that now when they come home, they just go straight outdoors. I've had some really bad days previously, and I was like, I'm just going to put the television on and they can just sit there. But the kids were so good. They had gotten into the rhythm of life where they put their bags away, unpacked their lunch boxes, and they all just headed outside. And it has been so beautiful to see them looking out for each other, incorporating each other in each other's play, making memories, like they're actually having a childhood, and it is amazing. They're not just plugged into the matrix. And once you get past that difficult season of breaking the addiction to being on a screen, it really is easy for them to do. Which leads me to the truth that boredom is the cure for boredom. Do not try to save your child and suggest ways to entertain themselves. They need to come up with solutions, and that's the one thing that being screen-free has done for our kids. It has helped them with their social skills, their problem-solving skills, their creativity. They are having to come up with ways to entertain themselves, and that unto itself is a great life skill. Don't try and save them by giving them suggestions, because they're going to run you dry of ideas, because it's never going to fulfill their bucket. Allow them to stumble, trip, fall, and figure things out by themselves. Build resilience is amazing, to come up with teamwork and cooperation, and for them to have to compromise and come up with solutions. All of this occurs through being screen-free. And I can tell you that as a primary school teacher, I can tell which kids are unplugged because of how well they thrive academically and socially and emotionally. Being screen-free isn't a punishment, it's not a consequence, it is a way of life for us, and a way that we are thriving as a family unit. The studies say how important it is to limit screen time and not use it excessively. As a parent of 4 kids, I know that I am the first to say that I definitely excessively used screen time as a way to survive. But now that I'm in a season that I can come up with some strategies and have good routines and expectations of what screen-free looks like, it is 1000% worth it. If learning from my mistakes has helped you and encouraged you to be screen-free, please give this video a big thumbs up. Don't forget to hit subscribe and tap that bell. And here on the end screen, I've left 2 more videos just for you, because this parenting gig doesn't come with a rulebook, we only have each other. And I'll see you over there.